Thanks, everybody. I know it's sort of late on the final day. Everyone's probably tired, so thanks for showing up. Appreciate the intro as well. I think you must have read ahead on my slides, so you can see my giant face up here again. I'm Scott, down from Toronto with Canadian Tire. Been there for 15 years. We've been a partner with Movable Inc. for about 5 years. So I'm excited today to talk a little bit about how we use their technology, how that fits into our roadmap, and how we think about it as we're developing new capabilities. Before I get too much into the details, though, I want to make sure everybody knows who Canadian Tire is. Are there Canadians in the room? I know there's some. Okay, good. Yeah, there we go. You guys know Canadian Tire, I hope. I hope you all know Canadian Tire. I think I met every Canadian who's here this week, and they all said they were coming, so maybe that's everybody. You know Canadian Tire. You might not know everything, so some of this might be new to you. But for everybody else, we're a big deal in Canada, I promise. Canadian Tire is our flagship brand, but we have a whole bunch of brands. Canadian Tire, I like to say, it's sort of like a Walmart plus a Home Depot minus groceries. You can get everything, whether it's patio furniture, kitchen stuff, automotive, tools. Canadian Tire has it all. The next big one is Mark's, which is a casual wear and workwear retailer. You can get jeans there, you can get boots. Think steel toe boots, scrubs, a lot of workwear from Mark's. Sport Check, which is a sporting goods retailer, whether that's your sporting equipment, sporting apparel, running shoes, things like that. And then a ton of smaller brands as well. So you'll see Gas Plus, which is our chain of gas stations, Pro Hockey Life, which is focused on hockey enthusiasts, sort of a step up from what you can get at Sport Check. We've also got Atmosphere, which is focused on camping and hiking. We've got financial services. We have a line of credit cards as well. We own the Canadian operations of Party City. Often we operate that as a store within a store in a Canadian Tire. We have Part Source, which is an automotive parts specialty shop. We have Jumpstart, which is a charity that helps get kids into sports, whether they can't afford it, whether it's not accessible to them. And then we have a whole ton of own brands. I've got Helly Hansen on the board there, because you might recognize that. We've got a lot more of these brands that we own. In Canada, we sell them through our own stores. Outside of Canada, either through third parties or direct to consumer. So we've got a lot. To put it in perspective, the Canadian population, last time I Googled, was 38 million people. We have 16 million unique identified people as part of our email programs or have downloaded and registered in our apps. So almost half of every person in Canada is a part of one of our programs or more. Said we're a big deal. Oh, thank you, yeah. So we've got a lot of different types of products, a lot of different brands. What brings us all together? That's our Triangle loyalty program. Hopefully some of you are members, these people in Canada. You will definitely be familiar with Canadian Tire Money. That's the old program. It's been around for 100 years. Paper money, it was actually printed by the Canadian Mint. You would come in and make a purchase. You'd earn a small amount of this Canadian Tire money. And then next time you come back to the store, you redeem that at face value. Obviously, the paper money thing has gone away. 7 or 8 years ago, we changed over to a digital program. So you swipe your card. The nice part is now you can do that at any one of our brand stores to earn and redeem your Canadian Tire money digitally, which is a little bit too bad because I'm sure a lot of you still have paper money in a drawer somewhere at home or in a glove box in your car. You can still redeem it, but we're not giving it out anymore. On the side there, you see I've got an offer, camping offer, so customers each week receive offers on specific categories from any one of our brands. Often as a multiplier on a base rate. So that's a 10 times if you're going to buy camping. Customers get 10 to 20 of those each week. So you can see how quickly that becomes a lot of content that we have to manage and create. We actually generate those through Movable Inc. because it's quite easy for us to combine images and multipliers and text to come up with thousands of versions of those. I mentioned credit cards through financial services. So if you have a credit card, you earn even more Canadian Tire money. Have I sold you guys on this yet? Earn even more and earn when you spend outside of Canadian Tire. And then if you're the best customer, you're now a member of Triangle Select, which is our paid loyalty program. And for about $100 a year, you get a bunch of other benefits, more offers, earn at a higher rate and everything like that. So we're trying to move customers up that spectrum to be Triangle Select members who have credit cards who are shopping with us all the time. And the reason that's important for us is, because you can see on this graph, it might seem obvious, as customers engage with us for more brands, they spend more money. Now, the blue lines, I had to take out the numbers so I could share this. Blue line represents how much customers are spending with us if they're part of 1, 2, 3 different email programs or apps. But if you isolate just the effect of the marketing, take out that sample bias there of people who shop more, subscribe more, If we isolate for the marketing effect, we see huge potential for all of those customers if we can get them to sign up for another program. So if we can cross-pollinate our lists, we make a lot more money from those customers over time, and that's purely through our personalization, because we know those customers, we collect a lot of data on them, and we can take advantage of that data in our programs. So I'm not up here to talk about the technology. You've been here for a couple days, tons of partners out here who can do great stuff for you. I don't need to talk about how this kind of thing happens. There are lots of people who are better at that. But what I've found in our organization is there are a lot of questions around what we're doing with personalization. What are we thinking future state? How do we prioritize things? That's a big question. How do we measure it? So we found it really helpful to formalize some rules, maybe some philosophies around what we're thinking when we're building new personalization features. So I'll go through these in a little bit more detail. But right off the bat, we do better email, not more email. We are optimizing, we're not testing. We market on context, not predictions. We build once, and we use it everywhere, and we make time for things that we can't measure. So I'll go into a couple examples here. Better email, not more email. We're constantly adding new features. We have a bunch of developers in-house that we're building new things, trying it out. Of course, we get requests all the time to send more messages, right? If I send more emails today, I make more money today. But every marketer in the room knows that's not a sustainable plan in the long term. So we need to make sure that we're not bothering our customers too often, right? That's why we lean really heavily on creating features that go into our existing marketing campaigns before we ever try to add more to the marketing calendar, right? So up top in this example here, some familiar movable link blocks, some screenshots I've hacked together, so sorry about that. Very small at the top, there's a loyalty dynamic bar for your balance, which will show you your name, the balance, your card number, so that we show that we recognize you across all our programs. The one below that, very popular, is that key messaging module, pulling in abandoned cart logic, right? You left an item in your cart, that's going to show up in the top there. That banner is huge for us. Of course, volume is relatively small. We're sending millions of emails. A few thousand of them will see this banner at a time. But it's driving 16 times the conversion rate of our static content, right? And huge click-through rates as well compared to static content. Then below that, product grids from a customer wish list. So you can come to our website, tell us you like these products, tell me when they're going to come on sale, right? We actually suppress some of our static content if you have items that are coming up on sale. We pull those into the email and say, hey, our new flyer's out Friday, come and check out the promos. The things you like are actually here. And then at the bottom, back to those loyalty offers. If you're a loyalty member, we're going to pull those in. We know this is a Canadian Tire email, so we're going to pull in the Canadian Tire branded offers. And if it's a dedicated campaign about a specific category, maybe it is tires, although we do more than tires, we can prioritize your automotive offers there so that they're paired with the type of content that we have in the email. So this could be 4 emails, right? We have a lot to say here, but the idea for us is we want to reach out to you on Fridays when the promos change over, and we're going to use that message to tell all the stories that we want to at the same time. And we do that by personalizing each piece, a lot of that through Movable Link. Optimizing, not testing. This one's, I'm being a bit sneaky there because it's more of a matter of phrasing. We do testing. We do testing and experimentation. But the idea here is we're not looking for a universal truth, right? Oftentimes in-house someone will say, no, let's do a test. Let's see if product images work better than lifestyle, right? You do an A/B test. You say lifestyle images win. Let's do lifestyles from now on, right? My answer to that would be we don't care who the winner is, right? We don't need to pick a winner because email and other digital channels give us a real opportunity to optimize in real time. So I don't care who the winner is because it's not going to be the same between different companies. It's not going to be the same between campaigns or customers. So there's no reason to decide that we've picked the right version, right? In this example here, we have a big sale coming up. On Monday, we might preview that sale, sending out a bunch of categories that you might be interested in. You can check them out now. Depending on what you click on that Monday email, using Movable Link's hidden poll feature, that's going to retarget you with unique versions on Friday. So if you clicked on the tools, you're going to get the version in the middle there that shows your tool sets and ladders and things like that. And we find that's really effective for us because if you've shown that engagement, now we've personalized your Friday email, there's no right version. Every customer can get a unique one for us. We've seen that one drive 39% increase in click-through rate and a 23% lift in revenue compared to static versions. And even if you didn't engage with that Monday version, we can now use wisdom of the crowds and other data that we have about you to optimize the version that you're going to get on Friday. So I don't need to go back to the business and say the tools version is the best version. We say every version is a good version. Depends on who you sent it to. Context versus predictions. We have a huge analytics team in-house, and they're the ones who power the weekly offers based on customer engagement and all the data they have. They're creating customer traits that we use to build segments, which is great. We like knowing customer personas. We can put you into a group, and if I want to send to everybody who we think has a car, I can find 1 million people and do that. That's fine. But much better data for us is to know that last week you got a patio email, and you opened it, you clicked through the barbecue page, you saw 4 barbecue products, and you added one to your cart. That is way better data, and that's not going to make it into our propensity model, at least not by tomorrow, right? So when we're sending another campaign to you, it's really important to take that context into consideration, even ignoring the segmentation data we have. And that's where we come back to this key message module that we use with Movable Inc. Of course, prioritizing abandoned cart, because that's extremely effective for us. Going into abandoned browse if you've left something, or you looked at something but didn't add to cart. We know if you're on a mobile device and if you have the app on that device. So let's make sure we push you to the app. We know if you've activated your offers this week or not, so we can push you into activating your offers, right? So we go through that logic here based on the context of the customer, almost regardless of the segment that you might be in. So for us, that's really important data, and we're constantly trying to get more of that into the platform so that we're able to market contextually rather than just trying to predict what you're going to see. Build once, use it everywhere. And I mean this sort of in 2 ways. I mentioned we have a ton of different programs. We've got a lot of content that we're building. We have a lot of groups to support. We've consolidated everybody into Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and now all of our brands also use Movable Inc. So that means that we can build things really quickly, and if we build it once for a brand, now we can scale it out to the other brands fairly easily. It's almost a copy-paste. And it makes it much easier for us to maintain because we're not now having 5 or 6 different apps. We have one, and you can just tweak it on the back end a little. So that means we can make a lot more, and we can maintain them a lot easier. So for example here, a few examples, our loyalty module, right? We know you're a loyalty member across multiple programs. We might have a bonus event that we populate that can show up across these 3. We know whether or not you have a credit card already. That same block can show up in Canadian Tire, Marks, or Check. Whether you've activated your offers, we can show that across all the brands as well. We've talked a bit about the abandoned cart banner already. Same idea there. You plug in a new product catalog, change the fonts. Now you have an abandoned cart banner that works for all the brands that we use. And then that loyalty balance bar I mentioned at the top, again, a nice feature to show customers we know them, right? Here's your Canadian Tire money. We recognize your account. There's real value in showing that across all the programs because you may not even realize that the Canadian Tire money you earned at Marks can be redeemed at Sport Check, right? So we put that in all of our messages, and it plugs into the same data source because it's a single profile. The other half of Build Once, Use Everywhere is the data that we're actually using. It's really hard sometimes to get data. It's hard to get customers to give you data. So when we have access to it, it's really important that we lean on it as much as you can. So going back to the abandoned cart idea, that product you abandoned, of course, is going to trigger an abandoned cart email. That works well. It populates that banner, so any of your promo messages will also have that up top, right? It's also going to feed that propensity model that we talked about. That goes back to the data team to factor that into their next model or their next recommendation. And it's going to power the website recommendations later for frequently bought together items or substitute products, maybe even your other promo emails. So really leaning heavily on that data so that we're not having to reintegrate a bunch of times. And when we get access to that data point, we think, where else can I use this? It's not just a single use case if we really want to blow it up across all of the brands. And lastly, making time for things we can't measure. So I said we don't test, we do a ton of testing. We experiment. Anytime we launch something new, the first question from leadership is going to be, how much money did it make, right? A lot of the times we are able to answer that because it's revenue driving. We do tests and controls, and we can actually see the incremental value from that. But there's also a lot of stuff we do that we just know is a good customer experience, right? As customers, we know what's fun. We know it's a nice brand experience. So we do things like this Triangle Select Tracker. If you're one of our premium members, we're going to send this message to you each month, assuming you meet certain criteria, so we can show you the value you're getting, right? Of course, we hope this drives more renewals, so when you get to the end of your subscription period, you're going to subscribe again. But we're going to do this anyway, because we think for our customers, it's important to reiterate the fact that you're earning it from your increased multipliers, you got more offers, you got it from free shipping, all this value adds up for you. And for customers, this is a really great experience, and I don't care if it's driving immediate value. And sometimes if we go to leadership who's asking about results, we can say ahead of time, this is not going to be a revenue driver, but that's okay. And we get into the same situation with post-purchase messages. We send you your product manuals. You bought a barbecue, we might send you recipes. We don't sell groceries, like I said, one of the only things we don't sell. I don't care if you use the recipe, but our customers like that experience because it feels like we're not just selling them a product and walking away, right? It's building that relationship, which is really difficult to measure. So we always make time to do these things, even if it's not gonna make us a ton of money. And the last thing I'll chat about is where we're going next. So with all of those things in mind, what are we doing? A big one right now is Da Vinci. Of course, it's a hot topic here this week. We're excited about that as well. We're trying to get a pilot out the door right now to help personalize the A spots that we're sending out in a lot of our messages. So as you can see, like, we have a ton of great content that we build, and a lot of it has a really short shelf life. The business decides we want to sell kids' bikes this week. We put together a campaign. You send it, and then you move on to patio furniture the next week, right? And the kids' bikes creative is sent once. Da Vinci is going to allow us to reuse that content, right? As we've heard in a lot of the presentations already this week, someone wants a bike, even if it's not bike season and the business has moved on. We need to make sure that that content is reused so we get more value out of that, and so that our customers actually getting communicated things that they want to hear, even if the business isn't focused there. Next is mobile with Movable Ink. We focused a lot on email, it's our biggest channel, but we have mobile apps as well. It's a great shopping experience. We drive a lot of customers to the app, especially if you're in store, it really helps. And if we're driving people to register, we want to be able to use all this personalization there as well. So back to my build once, use everywhere, all the features we built in Movable Ink already, we want to port those over to be mobile features as well. Same personalization, same engines, same back-end data, copy it over to the mobile apps. And lastly, AI content generation. This is changing so quickly. I'm sure, like, everyone's talking about all the ChatGPT and generating images. I'm sure a lot of you are Movable Ink clients right now who are generating content based on layers, right? You can put a different button on there, you can put someone's name, put your background image. We're assembling assets from things that already exist. What we've seen, and I'm sure you've all played with it, is generating images that don't even exist, right? So we may be putting together a banner there with a truck that has a tire on it. We're trying to sell tires to everybody. I don't have a truck, I drive a station wagon. You know that because I've been in for service at Canadian Tire to get an oil change. So why couldn't we generate an image with that tire on my car, right? Eric doesn't drive a station wagon, he drives a sedan. Put the tire on Eric's car. We know what it is because he's been in for an oil change, right? Once we start to do that, we can have millions of images, every one of them personalized based on the data we have because we have tons of data. So I think the limitation here is not the technology. The limitation is going to be the business process, and it's going to be the brand safety. So we're trying to figure out now how we're going to deal with it because it's only a matter of time before we have to. And I think that we need to get our teams ready to use it before the technology gets there, which is hopefully soon. All right. I think we're almost there. And next year, maybe we'll be back up on stage talking about how we're generating millions of images based on customer data. But for now, that's all I've got today. So thank you.